Is this episode 3?
3.
Episode 3.
Got it. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Stumped Podcast. I'm Spencer.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Logan.
Huzzah.
Well done, guys. Huzzah. Episode 3, Season 4.
Episode 3, Season 4.
And gentlemen, we have told how many stories up to this point? A lot of stories. Hundreds.
Hundreds, yeah.
I'm making a bold prediction for this episode. I may not get points, but these are by far my favorite stories I've ever done up to this point yet.
I like it.
Yep.
Matt, do you remember your favorite stories
My favorite story?
that you've told?
Oh, man. Probably not. I mean, a lot of my stories have been non-favorites. It's tough to have a favorite when it gets you in the losing bracket every single season.
Yeah. I mean, I got some that stick out. I would definitely say one of the first episodes I did that Olympic race where, like...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He took the drugs or whatever?
Yeah, they fed them literal rat poison because they thought... And then the one where the Russian dude took all the speed and ran for, like, days and days and days straight to get away from the Germans.
I came across that story, like, a few months later, and I was just like, wow, this really was true.
Yeah.
I did not believe it.
I've came across stories we've told, like you guys have told
Really?
after the fact, and was like, wow, I knew that. I actually knew that because Logan or Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, I'm excited to hear your story, Spencer.
You should. And so the theme this week, right?
Yeah, what's yours?
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah. What our
It's
total
not-
theme is?
Diamond in the rough.
Mm.
Yep. And currently, as points stand, I'm at 1.5, and you guys are at a half point.
That is correct.
Because
You have to
we
rub
did-
it in.
For those who don't know or are joining us late, we changed the formatting of the scoring. If you win an episode, you get 1 point. And if you tie an episode, you get a half point. And then you get 0 points if you lose an episode. So it's literally 1 point to, or 1.5 to a half. And the overall theme, because we're all doing themes this year, Diamond in the Rough. My Diamond in the Rough themes are inventions. But, let me stop us here. And this is the reason why these are my all-time favorite stories. Drum roll, please. Logan, do we have a drum roll? I don't even remember.
We had clapping. I got some clapping going for you right now.
Thank you. And the reason why these are my all-time favorite stories is because these are accidental inventions made by people named Spencer. Come on! That is amazing.
I'll give claps
Because
for that.
he'll never invent anything
So you
in his
found-
life. So
Maybe.
You found 2 of these, and we're like, holy smokes. That's my theme, right?
That's exactly what happened. So,
What if I told you I had the same thing happen, but I actually delayed that theme? We'll come back to that theme at a later date.
with people named Logan,
No.
inventions.
But I was studying stories for this because there's a multitude of stories for this.
yeah.
And I found 2 that were like so close I thought they were the same story, and then they were actually different occurrences of the same event. And I was like, holy smokes, that's going to be a theme later.
Yep.
Oh no.
That's awesome.
Wow.
But yeah, so
I
and
like
let me
it.
backtrack. So it's people named Spencer. Whether first, last, or middle name, it has Spencer in the name.
So you use ChatGPT for your names on this.
You know it.
How many can you tell us how many have the first name Spencer? I'm just curious on like what's the accuracy.
Yep. So let me. One story with the first name and 2 with the last name.
Okay.
So-
You got at least one in there. You got one.
I got at least one. Yep.
All right, Logan, what's your theme?
Diamonds in the rough.
Oh, so you're just going broad. You're taking the
they all
losing
share
map
they all
bracket
share a
approach.
theme. I just didn't come up with a clever like they're all
Wait a minute. Time out.
Diamonds
the
in the
one with
rough.
the best names.
Oh, the names are great.
Did
You'll
it
like
come
the
up
names.
with a clever theme?
You'll like the names.
Dang.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
I guess you could say artwork, artistic, is the thing that they all cover.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
Matt, do you have a theme within the theme?
I do have a theme within a theme. Mine are basically rare car barn finds.
Okay.
Oh.
Diamonds in the rough.
Diamonds in the rough.
I've heard a couple of these.
Yeah,
And
I
there's
hope
a
you
ton.
haven't. There's a lot. I was truly, and some of them really weren't like. The only diamond in the rough aspect of it was the car was just sitting there for
Yeah.
like 50 years.
I'm
You're
just-
like, it's
there's-
sold for $10,000, and you're like, all right.
There's one particular one I can think of that, like, it's like, how does that just sit in a garage, like a barn? Like, I think it was forgotten. Literally, they were like, we forgot we bought it. Like,
There's a few
what?
stories where I'm just like, I'm not telling this one,
Yeah.
but there's literal one of a dude burying his car in his backyard because he was trying to avoid taxes.
That's
And
amazing.
he like he did his insurance as lost, and then some kids were digging in the backyard and they hit metal. They unearthed the car 4 years later.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
So
right.
this is
So-
gonna be interesting.
Yep. Gentlemen, I can kick us off.
Yes, you
Kick us
will.
off. Kick us off.
Spencer will tell 3 stories about people named Spencer. Now, I'm just going to give you the names. Do you want Dr. Spencer Silver? Do you want Nelson Spencer? Or do you want Percy Spencer? Golly, what a great theme, guys.
You're so excited about this. I love it. Give me the Dr. Spencer first, since he obviously aspired for great things.
A Post-it note, as you may know, is obviously a piece of paper. You stick. You got that tack adhesive on the back. Temporary attaches. All of that. Well, in 1968, 3M, who was the inventor of the company that invented the sticky note, 1968, Dr. Spencer Silver first discovered this adhesive, but couldn't figure out how to use it. Meanwhile, fellow 3M scientists, unfortunately, this is where we stray away from the Spencer's name, Art Fry, was annoyed that every week during church choir practice, when the little scraps of paper he used to mark on the hymns kept falling out of the hymnal, he wanted something a little more permanent, but didn't want to ruin the page. So he needed something that could stick to the page without damaging it. One day, he recalled listening to a talk by Dr. Spencer about his adhesive and had an idea to solve both of their problems. A sticky note that used Spencer's adhesives. Fry created the notes and passed them around to his colleagues to try, and they loved them. 3M initially launched the product as Press and Peel, but eventually they became wildly successful and renamed Post-it Notes. Thank you, Spencer and church choirs.
I would like to say, hearing the invention of the sticky note from my sticky note provider really brings life full circle.
I was about to say something. But yeah, he just was getting ready to sell you some sticky notes and thought of this fake story.
For those who don't know, Spencer works at a company that supplies the world with everything, literally. But they do a lot of our office supplies, and he literally brings me sticky notes every time he comes in. So when I say I need this to be true, like I need this to be true.
Oh, okay. Are we going Percy Spencer or Nelson Spencer?
Whichever one invented the chewing gum.
I don't got that.
I was trying to throw
So
you
Percy?
off. Yeah, him.
Percy? Okay. In 1945, Percy Spencer was experimenting with a new high-powered vacuum tube called the magnetron while doing research for the Raytheon Corporation. One day, the American engineer noticed that the candy bar in his pocket began to melt when he was near the magnetrons. Intrigued, he put some popcorn and then an egg near the magnetron. Both cooked within seconds. Spencer and the Raytheon Corporation immediately saw the potential in this revolutionary process, which they patented and installed in kitchen appliances they dubbed the Rada Range. And in 1947, the Raytheon put the Rada Range on the market, targeting the food industry. And if you can guess what this invention was, this accidental invention, it was the microwave. It originally weighed 750 pounds and was 5.5 feet tall and cost about $5,000, which is $69,000 in today's money. And then by 1975, the product had evolved into a compact countertop appliance that was much less expensive and caught fire in the market.
I believe the company name is Raytheon.
Yeah, I think it's Raytheon.
Sure.
That's okay. I'm not going to make fun of anyone's pronunciation of anything after my next couple.
It just like the third time you said it, it clicked. I was like, that's not how you say that.
Did you say it was 700 pounds? And it was sold to consumers?
Yep. The food industry. Gosh. Come on, 750 pounds.
We have come a long ways.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right.
Nelson Spencer.
Nelson.
In 1943, the naval engineer Nelson Spencer was working with Viton Rubber, attempting to create a better sealant for windows for military ships. After numerous failed attempts at creating a long cylindrical tube to go on the rim of the windows, he began to experiment with small cup-shaped rubber seals. However, the cup shape would pop under stress and would revert back to its original shape. After one failed test, Spencer put the rubber cup on the desk upside down. After a few minutes, it popped straight up in the air. Amused by this, Spencer kept doing it to get his mind off of his failed work. A few months later, he brought it home, and his kids loved playing with it. On April 12, 1944, Nelson applied for a patent, which he named it the Jumping Toy. Later sold his patent to Lewis Marks & Company and became an instant classic, still being played with today.
Is it still called the Jumping Toy?
No.
I have some of those.
I've had those. Little like pop it things.
Yeah, my cat hates them because he'll like sit right over them and stare down and just bam, square in the face.
Oh, just gets attacked.
All three diamonds in the rough of inventions, all by people named Spencer.
All right.
Interesting.
I feel moderately confident.
Do you really?
Because I think I know how one of these three things was invented, and it wasn't how he said. Or at least not how I understood it to be.
Interesting.
So I'm locked in. Because
Here's the question.
Yeah. No, I'm not helping you.
Stop, Spencer.
Oh. Well, I'll tell you my thoughts, and you can decide what you think.
Okay.
But here's my understanding on the invention of the microwave. Raytheon was actually tasked with inventing a weapon to combat at distance in armies and basically cook people from the inside. And so they were working to use microwaves to basically fry you on the battlefield. The problem they ran into was you had to be really close and you had to be like within this small area for a long amount of time. I mean, think of how long it would take to cook a person. It's not something that hits quick. And so it was
power level 10,
yes.
5 minutes, and then rotate.
And so this was invented purely as a weapon, and it was stayed in that weapon mindset for a while, but they couldn't perfect it until eventually it turned into consumer use because they did realize it could cook food. Now, maybe that ties into his story, but with no mention of the weapon aspect of it, and it just being something that they stumbled upon for food, I felt like that's not how I understood the microwave to be invented, so I put 2.
Interesting. So you put
completely 2. Maybe that was what it was being worked on and it was just not mentioned, but that's where I'm at.
So if we double up, he gets 2 points.
Correct.
Instantly. If we're wrong.
Correct.
So I probably shouldn't do that.
2.
We went 2. Alrighty. I'm just so, that's how a lot of naval engineers, that's how a lot of those things actually.
Well, and the part that threw me was when he said the chocolate bar melting was how they discovered it was heating things up. As I understood it, they knew it would heat stuff up. It just was very, very inefficient as a weapon, and so it turned to food.
Alrighty. I'm just gonna forever feel bad about whatever I pick. So I'm gonna lock in. I don't have a notepad with me, so I'm traveling super light. So I went with 1. Dr. Spencer.
Dr. Spencer.
It's probably true. I'm just going to begin getting ready for when Logan tells his stories, because this is just... I hate this podcast.
Matthew, you're right. Dr. Spencer Silver, that's true.
So he's either getting 2 points or...
Dr. Spencer Silver is 100% true.
Of course it is, because I picked
3M, 3M did make the sticky note, but it was a church fire. Apparently, that's, and I was like, wow, did not know that was a thing. What was funny is I don't use ChatGPT, but I tried to use it tonight. I didn't use it. I had to go away from it. But I literally was like, write me a story about how the sticky note, or how an invention was accidentally made. And it came back with the story of the sticky note. I'm like, well, not doing this.
Nice.
You have to you have to tell it you're playing a game and to do a fake one, because it'll tell you a real story, because it's all it knows is real information.
Yeah. Logan, freaking Logan. You are completely 1,000% about the defense thing, but that story's true.
Really?
That story's true. Here's what's ironic, Logan.
I just chose the wrong one.
When you said that, my heart dropped, because I was like, did I have the wrong article? And I was like, oh my gosh, did I just tell two false stories? And while you were explaining, I had to look it up. And I was like, okay, no, I'm fine. Because it's like, the microwave was invented accidentally in 1945 by a talented Percy Spencer, who's leading a radar project defense giant, Raytheon, but did figure out that chocolate had melted from the heat. And I was like, holy crap, my heart dropped. Because I was on this like website of fake or accidental inventions. I'm like, did I just tell him? Like, nope. The naval engineer, that's a fake story. I got inspiration because in 1943, Nelson Spencer made the Slinky. But it was because he was working on something with coils.
And
I
he
don't know
dropped
what
the coil, and it just kept going.
I stopped after naval engineer, and I said, that's good. I said Windows.
You're the worst. So that's why I thought that one was real, because a lot of those things from naval, or just kind of people in the military, just kind of like happens.
Yeah. So
I mean,
nope.
That's disappointing. That was what I was afraid would happen, because the only reason I didn't even think like, okay, this is how it happened, you just didn't mention the defensive part, was the melting chocolate, because they were intending for that to heat things up the whole time. It was just meant to heat up people.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I did not. I was like, oh my gosh, but no.
Yeah. Yep. That was the original use of the microwave. It was supposed to cook you across the field.
Failed everybody again.
But so shout out to Spencer's for creating not only the sticky note but the microwave.
Oh, that's disappointing.
We'll never use the microwave now.
I'll give you some claps here, but I'm not gonna like it.
It is true. So that jumping toy is the actual name on the patent. I did look.
Is it really?
Yep.
Interesting.
The jumping tool. It was in April of 1939 or something like that. I didn't even know it could have a patent, because I feel like it's been like
recreated
so many times, but it does.
Oh,
Okay.
I hate this.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's tough.
Logan, why don't you go?
All right. I have 3 stories.
Oh, really?
They're all about artwork.
Interesting.
Diamonds in the rough. Do you want, that is the ugliest painting I've ever seen? Do you want, thanks kid? Or do you want, pretty impressive for a turtle?
Go turtle.
Yeah, I was about to say, I want
I'll go
turtle.
turtles.
All right. Imagine with me for a second a scenario in which you discover a family heirloom painting is actually a centuries-old painting lost in time, worth more than any piece of artwork in human history, and then sold it too soon. That's the exact situation Susan Henry Tureau found herself in 2017, when she found she had owned and lost the ultimate diamond in the rough. So, before I tell you about the painting, which is in its own right a remarkable piece that has centuries of stories to tell, I will tell you about Susan and the circumstances of her discovering and losing her diamond, quote unquote. Susan was a 70-year-old retired librarian who acquired the painting from her dad, Basil Clovis Henry Sr., who hung it up in the family's home for decades prior to his passing. He had inherited the painting from his aunt, Minnie Stanfill Kuntz, who had run a furniture business in New Orleans until her death in 1968. Minnie had purchased the piece while abroad in Europe. Her and her husband were traveling back from London at the same time that Sotheby's auction house was auctioning off the estate of Sir Francis Cook. They bought the painting for £45, roughly $57 in June of 1958. For years, the identity of the Kuntzes remained a mystery, as collectors began realizing what the piece was and trying to obtain it. It was finally spotted hanging on the wall of Hendry's house in an online real estate listing of the property in 2005. Upon its discovery, the family was notified of the potential value of the piece, which they had appraised at Susan's father's passing for $750. By the time they contacted Susan, however, it was too late. She had already sold the piece for somewhere between $1,200 and $1,800. The final price was lost due to bankruptcy of the auction house, which the sale had been run through. The new owners, being collectors, teamed up with a painting conservator to verify the piece was what they thought it was. In 2013, it sold for $80 million. Then immediately resold for $127 million. Finally, it hit public auction in 2017, where it sold for a record-setting $450.3 million to Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Susan may have lost out on the profits, but she is just happy the piece was identified and its true value revealed. The piece in question, Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi, an original Da Vinci painting of Christ from roughly 1510, a painting that was once owned and counted in the royal inventory of King Charles I of England in 1649. How this original work, which had been held by kings, oligarchs, and museums, wound up in an auction in 1958 still remains a mystery. But for now, it's on tour throughout the world in museums, as it should be.
Crap, you lost me.
I knew it.
You guys, honestly, if you guys tell long stories, I'm screwed.
So, all right.
Here's the problem, though.
Yep.
You're going to guess, and you're still going to get it right.
Oh, that's what ticks me off.
And I took notes on the story, and I'm going to get it wrong. So
well, here's the deal. I got the gist of the story. Don't get me wrong. I was too worried thinking about Joe, my wife, for those who don't know, just asked if something was burning in our house. And I was trying to sniff, and I couldn't smell anything. And so you're telling your story, and I'm like, is something burning?
Well,
but I got
your hair from all that thinking.
I'll give you the 15-second rundown. Lady has a painting that's been in her family home, a picture of Christ, for 40 years. It just hangs on the wall over the stairwell. Her dad dies. She inherits it. She sells it for like $1,500, only to find out it was an original Leonardo da Vinci painting worth $450 million.
Yeah. That would suck.
That would suck. 450 million.
Yeah. Talking about a bad night for Spencer.
That would be a bad night.
Okay. I can get down with it. What's
All right.
next?
The ugliest painting I've ever seen, or Thanks Kid?
Did you do a self-portrait, Logan, or something?
Haha. Very, very funny. If you've seen my artwork, you would know. It wouldn't even be recognizable.
On par with that title.
Yeah. It's so
Give
bad.
me the ugliest painting.
All right. Yeah, my ability to draw things is bad. Good art is hard to come by these days. That's why in 2007, when Pavel Sokolov, sorry, I added a syllable, received a canvas painting of his childhood home in Pittsburgh, hand-painted by his daughter Ilana for a school project, he immediately went to the store to buy a frame. As a plumber in western Pennsylvania his whole life, Pavel was not well off. He and his family had lived in the same house for over 40 years, so instead of buying a new frame, Pavel did what many thrifty people do and went to a local thrift store to buy a painting of similar size and use the frame to hold his daughter's painting. He found a painting, not necessarily because he liked the frame, but because, quote, it was the ugliest painting I had ever seen in my life. He took it home and began to pry apart the old frame, only to discover that the painting he thought he had bought seemed to be hiding something else. Behind the painting, carefully placed in the frame, was another piece of art, one seemingly way older and more abstract in nature. Sokolov realized that this was not ordinary right away, telling WTAE Pittsburgh, quote, "You don't hide worthless things. I didn't know what it was, just that it held value." That curiosity led him to reach out to a local art professor at the University of Pittsburgh, who immediately identified the painting as a work from none other than the famous early 1900s artist Salvador Dali. Apparently, taking valuable paintings and layering them under worthless ones is an ages-old tactic used when transporting paintings. How this painting, named Mason pour Erotomine,
There's no way it's pronounced that.
I know, I butchered it. These names are hard, you have to understand. Maison pour Eotomane. Mason pour Erotomane. Is this because I made fun of you for Raytheon?
Mm-hmm.
That's an American word. These are not in English. how that piece wound up never being uncovered and how long it was hidden for remains a mystery. There's even dispute of exactly when it was painted, with a rough estimate of 1932 being placed on it. The painting was largely unknown about for about 70 years, so when it finally hit the open market in an auction in 2012, it sold for a whopping $3.5 million. Pavel and his family saved the money and started an art fund with some of it to allow other children in low-income areas access to art supplies and lessons that Alana herself had not been able to afford as a kid.
Okay.
Third one. Thanks.
I have no idea. Yeah.
I have no clue.
Thanks, kid.
Thanks, kid.
Yeah, that's what it's called. The Old West has inspired so much in our modern society. From television shows to video games to artwork, we as a nation have never quite lost the thrill of some of our wildest days. That same thrill drove a man by the name of Randy Guillermo to buy 3 19th century photos from a thrift store in 2010 for $2. He liked how the old style looked and didn't think anything of the purchase. He simply went into a thrift store to break up a long drive on his way home. Upon further inspection, however, he thought the faces of one of the individuals in the photos looked familiar. The tiny person in the 4x5-inch photo looked an awful lot like Billy the Kid. How did he recognize him with only one known photo of Billy being in existence at the time is beyond me. But he did, and he took it to an authenticator who worked with Randy over the course of 5 years, looking at each person in the photo to identify them as members of the Regulators, Billy's gang. This photo instantly became the holy grail of Western American photography. As part of the verification process, the authenticator and Randy not only had to identify each person in the photo, but also the house they were standing in front of. They had to cross-reference several diaries to find the exact house, which is still standing, and confirm the photo was legit. Randy traveled thousands of miles, spoke to quote-unquote countless experts to get the photo authenticated, which he finally did in 2015. Some people still question its legitimacy, but it's officially been valued by Sotheby's at $5 million and is the second photo ever to exist of Billy the Kid.
That's impressive.
Yep.
Okay.
$5 million?
$5 million.
Oh my gosh.
I'm locked in.
Yep. What the heck?
So I am 99.1% sure that number 2 is true.
The
About
ugliest painting?
Yeah, I'm almost. I want to say I'm as 100% as unsure gets.
Say that one more time, but slower.
I am 100% as unsure gets. So I want to say number 2 is true. Like Matt, I'm telling you this as in like don't click 2. Like
Gotcha.
I'm locking in, and I'll tell you since Logan did it. I'm locking in 3. The reason I did this.
Okay.
Here's the reason, Matt. Here's the reason. I know a Saudi prince bought a painting for a ridiculous sum of money, hundreds of millions of dollars. Was that just what Logan was going on? And then he lied about everything else? I don't know. But if I recall, I think, and again, I'm about 12% sure here that a Saudi prince did buy an expensive painting, but he could have just saw that and said, okay, this is what we're making it as. Because I can't fathom an authenticator also messing up and saying it's only $750. That's what gets me. But I'm going number 3 solely because I'm 100% unsure that number 2 is true, and I know a Saudi prince once bought a painting, but not 100% sure. So Matt, ball's in your court.
If I follow Spencer, I either get nothing, Logan gets 2, or I get 1 point.
So yeah.
That is.
So Matt, if you follow me, then
if you follow him and he's right, you're in
I get a
trouble.
point.
Oh, you do need a point though. Then a double stumped. You're right.
Then I can double stump.
Yeah,
and I
you're
can
still
tie
alive.
I'm still alive if I get a point. If I don't get a point and Spencer gets a point, I cannot win.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But Matt, if you get a point and I don't, you could win it.
Oh, that's
Correct.
true.
Correct. But that is where. So my original intention, I thought 2 was true.
Yeah.
1 I was struggling with.
Yep.
Hard time thinking. a Saudi prince spend that much on a picture of Jesus, but
I don't
they do have unlimited money.
I don't know if you know what they're paying golfers over there.
That's
I know
true.
they have unlimited money. That's what I'm just like. It's a picture of Jesus, though. Like, I honestly thought Thanks Kid was true. For some reason, that just rang a bell. If I'm not mistaken, there are very limited photos of Billy the Kid, if any.
I know. I was struggling
That's
with
my
that too.
problems. I thought that was true.
So, Matt, I was in the same boat where I'm like, I feel like in some crevice of my mind that there were very limited Billy the Kids, and that's why I was like, okay, that thrift store could be 100% true. But I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a coin flip for me to 1 and 3. I'm
in the same boat.
I don't want
one
Logan to
sounds
get
like
2
he just
points.
went through so much effort to put it
So
together.
much
It's something he
effort.
would do. 3 is
100%.
also something that Logan would do on a road trip where he would just stop off and like stretch the legs or something.
Yeah.
If needed. Alright, for better or worse, to death do us part. I'm gonna go with Spencer on this.
Okay.
And I'm gonna lock in. He locked in Thanks Kid, right?
I locked in Billy the Kid.
Billy the Kid as false. We're gonna lock it in. And
Okay.
All right.
what you got for us, Logan?
Let's first talk about our Saudi prince friend, who also, it was let me see his name so I can pronounce it again. Mohammed bin Salman was like the very famous one that was allegedly behind the assassination of a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been very much in the news. That story's true.
Yeah.
They found that
Right.
painting. I will say the hardest part of this for me was saying the name Basil Clovis Hendry Sr. without laughing. For some reason, just those 4 words just really hit me every time I
It
read
didn't
it.
sound like a real name.
No, Basil Clovis Hendry Sr. I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, I'm gonna chuckle.
So I would say when you said the number 450, I literally watched, I think, a video on the most expensive paintings ever sold,
Yeah,
and that was fairly recent.
yeah,
wasn't it?
2017.
Yeah, and I was like, that number sounds so real, but literally I could not think of, oh my gosh, he just made up the rest and just took that figure.
Yeah.
But I was like, I've heard it, I can't go with it.
It was the single most expensive painting ever sold, and it sat
Yeah.
in Susan's house over her stairwell for 40 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. That
Yeah.
I did not know. That's
Yeah.
wild.
That's. Oh, all right.
Thanks,
I
kid.
feel like we're wrong, Matt. I feel like we're wrong.
Thanks,
I
kid.
know, I'm scared.
Randy Guijarro did in fact stop at a thrift store and for $2 purchase the second known painting of Billy the Kid, or picture.
Wow.
That is a true story.
Wow.
Yeah. The ugliest painting I've ever seen. I completely made that up. I made up the names. I knew Salvador Dali was a famous artist. I looked up a real piece of art from him. That way I could have a foreign name. And I made up an entire story about buying it, it being hidden behind another painting, because I've heard that is something that actually they do.
That makes sense. I mean,
But yeah, I made that whole thing up.
So-
About them not knowing what year it was painted in, they know 100% what year that was painted in. The only real things in that story, the name of the painting, the name of the artist, and how much it sold for. I did use the real price tag from that painting's last auction to give me a ballpark of
Well done.
Salvador Dali's paintings.
You got me. I literally, Logan, I could have sworn I've heard that before. You started telling that story, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I've heard this.
There's
good, man.
so many stories like that, though, where people had a painting or it was under a painting or just something like that, where it's like, it's worth millions and millions and you don't know.
Well done. Yeah,
Oh.
that got me. I literally, Logan, I'm not joking. I literally was like, when you were telling that, I would have bet a lot of money that I heard that story.
Yeah.
Especially when you said the kid. What got me was the kid about taking it and framing his own painting, the kid's painting. I was literally like, I think I've heard this before.
If that's real and if there's a movie about it, I'd like to put the disclaimer that, as always, I wrote it on my couch with no internet access.
Yeah, bum.
The only thing I looked up was the name of the painting and how much it sold for, just for a reference point. I didn't want to
Okay.
be like 3.5 million and Spencer be like, oh, no Dali sold for that much.
Yep. Okay, Matt, so you're officially out.
No, he could tie it.
no, I
Oh,
can
we can
still
tie
win
it.
this.
Yeah.
Tie
Don't
it.
you?
You can't win it.
You're officially out.
No, you can't win the episode.
You could
No,
tie
I
it.
can't. But I can
tie
get
it.
points.
That's true. I was wrong.
Think for a second, though, how different this is in the first episode when we all got everything. Now no one's
Yeah.
gotten one.
Yeah.
This theme is tough.
This is
Okay.
tough. The worst part is like I wouldn't have gotten a point even if I went against Spencer on that one. So
That was the rare
Yeah.
stress-free time.
my guessing's off.
Because you both established that the one that was a lie was true very early, and so you're debating
Yeah.
one that didn't even, like, that made me happy. That was stress-free.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm glad.
That's actually
But
that
not
happened. Yeah, I get that. Okay, let's hear it, Matt.
So I've got 3 stories. I did have 4. About diamonds in the rough, but related to cars and quote unquote barn finds.
I watched a lot of American Pickers growing up, so let's hear it.
Okay, cool. So number 1 is a 1954 Aston Martin DB24MK. The other one, 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air Nomad. 1969 Ferrari 365 GTB 4 Daytona.
You could be speaking a different language because I know nothing about vehicles.
Absolutely nothing. That was
Give me
Honestly,
Give me the Aston
Fair.
Martin
The Aston
because
Martin.
because there was a baby blue Aston Martin parked outside of one of my there's right around the corner from my house. There's a detail shop, and it was parked outside that shop for like a week. And I literally stopped in there and said, "Whose car is this? Because this is the coolest car I've ever seen." That's all.
Nice.
That's the story. That's the whole story.
Hey, Aston Martins are cool, man. All right, so the Aston Martin. Here we go. The 1954 Aston Martin DB24 MK or MK2, so Mark II, was already an extremely rare vehicle when it was first produced, with only 16 known examples to ever roll off the factory floor. Of those, only 6 were marked for export. This particular one had been delivered to a hometown called Mount Kisco, just north of New York. Eventually, it ended up in the hands of a missile guidance engineer who unfortunately had to put the vehicle into storage in 1977. After 20 years of operation and 40 years of storage, it was finally unearthed, and despite the apparent despair, it ended up heading to auction, where it sold for $293,300 in June of 2018.
293,000.
$293,300.
All right.
It does not help. I know. I mean,
No.
literally, if there's a person that knows less about cars than me, I would love to meet them.
Yeah, I'm maybe
That's good.
not quite there, but I know what an Aston Martin
Look,
is.
it's like you're talking to him right now, man.
Yeah, like nice to meet you, Spencer.
Like, I don't even know how much an Aston Martin goes for off the
So,
shelf.
like, that number
I have
sounds
no clue.
low after looking at the artwork, but I don't know.
Okay,
Oh my
all of
gosh.
these numbers sound low after looking at the artwork.
Okay, let's hear the next one.
Wild. You want to maybe go in the order I read them?
Might
Sure.
as well.
All right, so 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air Nomad.
A Chevy, I know that
19
word.
What?
That's Chevy, I know that word.
All right, the 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air Nomad emerges as a timeless marvel, etching its place in automotive history. A prototype was unearthed in 2007 within the hidden hills of an Italian winemaker's barn. This extraordinary discovery had languished in obscurity for an incredible half-century. The saga unfolds with the antique enthusiast catching wind of a compelling tale between 2 brothers. One, the lead engineer in the prototype's inception, and the other, a modest small-town winemaker. The engineer and brother bought one of the prototypes from Chevy for his younger brother as a wedding gift, and then his brothers drove it sparingly and stored it in the barn for 30 years for safekeeping. Sorry. After the passing of both brothers, their children agreed to ship the car to the States to have it sold by Barrett Jackson Auctions, where it fetched a whopping $159,000 in its distressed state with 35,391 miles on it.
Sure, I guess. I mean,
I
have no
All right,
idea.
next one.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go
shoot.
with the next one.
Shoot from the hip. That's what we're doing here.
Okay, so the next one is the 1969 Ferrari 365 GTB for Daytona. With only 1,200 examples ever manufactured, Ferrari's 365 GTB4 was already a rare and sought-after vehicle. Of those 1,200, however, only 5 were built to the specifications of the 24 Hours of Daytona race, and only a single of those was rare aluminum-bodied rides was street legal. This was that vehicle. Stashed in the garage in Japan for over 40 years before its discovery, this fabled car had reached a near mythical status, and in truth, some people weren't even sure it existed at all. Sure enough, however, it was unearthed and found in completely... Wow, I just totally blanked on that. Unmolested or original condition, along with its...
Is that a car term?
Body numbers, unused spare tire, and just 22,611 miles on the odometer. After its discovery, it made its way to R.M. Sotheby's auction block, where it was sold for a jaw-dropping sum of $2.2 million.
I can't get by that word, and therefore I might have to vote for it.
That can't be a car term.
That cannot be. I genuinely, actually, this is... Like, I've never even heard of any of these cars. I've never even heard of any of those things. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'll say congratulations, Matt. This is the most loss I've maybe ever felt. I can't even pick a reason to choose one. Like,
that's good to know.
I'm going to have to do some car research. There was one I was hoping you'd say, this guy found this car with literally like 150 miles on it. He'd bought brand new off the lot and then left in a barn for 50 years and sold for like $500,000 that I stumbled upon in my research. And I was
there's so many of these. Like,
pick 1, 2, or 3. I'm locked in.
Wait. Tell her to do it again.
Joe, do it again. Do it again. No, that's for me. What's for Logan?
This is how I lose this episode.
Okay, Logan. She chose 3.
3? What'd you choose? What'd you get?
I'm not. Can I tell? Are you gonna lock in 3?
Well, I don't know if I am or not. 3 was the one that I most wanted to believe.
Okay, well, I locked in the one she chose. It's in my notes right here.
All right, what is it? I'll do a different one.
Okay, I locked in 2.
Oh, I like 2. I'm gonna lose because of this. Give me 3, and Joe I trust.
Okay, and Joe we trust.
You trust. We'll start with the one you guys didn't pick, Aston Martin.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so
that's
Joe, come on, let's go.
I should have wrote 2 when I had the chance, shouldn't I have, Matt?
And Logan, you should have wrote 2.
Yes! Yes,
so
Joe,
right
yes! Oh, shout out to Joe, baby!
I really wanted to put 2. I'm so upset right now.
Let's go! Oh, for those who have just...
Trash. This is absolute trash.
So 2's your lie.
2's my lie. The Ferrari was correct. It was super rare. It's the Daytona race is like a 24-hour race. I'm just... Why? Spencer gets another point because he phoned a friend and just got the right answer for no apparent reason at all. This is how I lose.
On the bright side of that, I literally was leaning towards 2, and so that was good.
I was too. I was like, Spencer's going to do 3 because that's what you were, and I'm going to do 2. And I don't know if it's right, but I felt comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Look at you guys.
Disheartened is putting it lightly.
This is so rough.
Matt, it's not that it's okay. Listen, it's 2 to half a point. That is a very
it's
so
2
much
and a
room.
half to half a point.
Okay, 2.5 to half point. There's so much room to come back on.
The problem is you have to win 2.
Yeah, that's tough.
Full episodes.
Or Logan and I have to tie 4, and you do nothing.
Do we know the
you
number?
You think this is so close? It is not.
Well, do we know the number that, like, when you get above, like, once you hit this number, you win?
I mean, it's the same as golf. When you're up more points than there are holes remaining, essentially, or episodes remaining in our case. So if you're up 7 with 6 left, it would be insurmountable. So the number varies depending how much we have left, but I would say we do 12 episodes. If you're up 7 points through 6, you're feeling pretty good.
I don't think you could lose then.
No,
right?
you couldn't. If you're up 4 with 3 left, like you're probably in good shape.
I don't know what the math is on that, yeah.
So it just depends how many episodes are left. With 9 left right now, you have to be up 10.
I was going to say,
If we keep guessing mine like this, I'm just going to never win any more points.
You're telling me.
Goodness.
Well, gentlemen, this was an exhilarating episode, if I could say so myself.
I hate this podcast too, Matt.
I'm leaving us a 1-star review.
Any last words?
Yes, we have to spin the wheel. What's your new episode? You winner.
Yeah.
Yes.
You wiener.
My last words is don't give us a 1-star review.
Crap.
Give us a
hang on.
5-star review.
Let me.
You didn't even come ready to win.
Do you want an idea?
disappointing part.
Because I came ready to win.
What was yours, Logan?
Colts.
Cool. That's amazing, but no.
Spencer
Actually,
comes with 3 facts about the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah. I actually had one in my head in case I won it, and I'm blanking actually because I can't believe I actually won.
I didn't say Colts, Matt. I said
Yell at
Colts.
Joe. I'm sure she'll know.
Cults.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was like, that's an odd one, but I'm here for it.
Okay. We already have Florida Man on that wheel, right?
Correct.
Okay. Let me go with what is one? I
wish I put the Jeopardy theme in the.
I know. I need inspiration.
I might be able to
I gave you one.
send you some instructions on how to change those.
Hang on.
If I can find that, and it's not,
Colts.
we don't have to pay for it.
Not Colts. Colts.
Okay, give me.
Colt.
Let me see here. 10 best things to talk about.
Planes, trains, and automobiles. That was another I had.
Oh,
Just use that one.
the best April Fool's pranks.
We did an episode on that.
Yeah,
Did we do that?
I did a theme on that one time. Or
did a whole
boo,
theme on
boo,
that one.
boo. Okay.
That's like season 2?
yeah.
Okay. Pets. Did we do anything on pets before?
No, I mean,
Oh my
it's
goodness.
your wheel, my
Pets?
dude.
Pets?
Give me pets.
Screen recording is about to start. We're gonna spin this bad boy. I hope it's not pets.
Pets?
Don't take this the wrong
Pets.
way, but Colts was way better.
I am telling nothing but stories about Poe.
Oh, absolutely. I will just share stories of Poe. All right. We're screen recording live.
Yeah.
I'm spinning the wheel. Spin.
What do we got?
that
Big money, big
wheel.
money, big money.
If I win next week, I gotta come prepared with that legit one. Superhuman feet.
Superhuman feet.
That's a good one.
Yes, it is.
Oh man.
All right,
Well,
so
gentlemen,
next week
per the
we are
usual.
going to have 9 stories of superhuman feats. I've already shared all mine, but we'll find more.
Oh man.
Well,
Me and
gentlemen.
Matt putting up with Spencer each week has got to be one.
This is rough. That's all right. I've got 5 hours in the airport coming up because I chose the afternoon flight and everyone else chose the morning flight. So
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, enjoy the week. As usual, always a pleasure, except you, Logan. So I'm glad we got to do this.
Just disheartening. Tell Joe I send my deepest condolences.
I will.
Not thrilled with her right now.
Any last words, Maddie?
no, just see you guys next time.
We'll see you next week.
I'm seething.
Yeah. Toodles.
See y'all.